Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another installment of the Would I Repurchase These Eyeshadow Palette series. So this is originally this is a tag created by another beauty creator on this platform. And I've done this a handful of times. I feel like this is my 5th or 6th time doing it. And the premise is you grab 10 palettes and you go over if you would repurchase them or not. I like to grab things at random, or my husband is often the one that grabs them, and so I don't even know what it is. But as an eyeshadow lover, I think this is a fun thought experiment and kind of also helps me get ready for my year-end declutter because I definitely need to get rid of some stuff. There's things that I do not grab. So while in the last year, I've really gravitated towards buying a lot of complexion products and really perfecting my complexion, I think I've done a very good job of that, and I'm getting very excited by things like blush and highlighter that I didn't used to be. Eyeshadow is still my biggest weakness. I probably have anywhere between 100 and 150 eyeshadow palettes. I haven't really counted in a while. And there's definitely some that I cherish more than others and some that I don't really use anymore. So I think this is a really fun way to revisit what we already own if you do have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. And this is separate from my revisiting series that I do and I've been doing for a while, where I pick a palette and I use it on camera and talk about it and work my thought process through that. This is a collection of things. So, and if you are new here and this is your first video, hi, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and I really love makeup. I particularly like sparkly indie eyeshadow and high-end and luxury makeup. And I tend to be pretty analytical in my content. I try really hard to make thoughtful, analytical videos, and I have new content every week, so I'd really love to have you subscribe. So I have 10 palettes here. I tried to grab them at random. This is actually, some of these were picked by my friend Steven of Fortitude on Instagram and sometimes on YouTube. They specifically asked me to do one of these because I haven't in a while, and also mentioned specific palettes that I should talk about. And then I tried to grab other ones that were things that I haven't talked about in one of these that I know of. I do have a list somewhere, I should have double checked. But well. And things that I've also been thinking about, what do I still want this or not? So I'm going to start off with an easy one. So this is the Urban Decay Moondust palette. So this came out last year. This is the Space Rider version. They came out with 2 of these for the holiday. And then this year they came out with like a quad that looks a lot like one of these, and then like a star-shaped palette that also has some mattes in it, but there's not like the packaging on the star I don't really love. But this came out last year, and I'm really happy to see them doing more with the Moondust shadows because they are such a cult favorite and they're just a really good product. I did see they made Space Cowboy into an eyeliner, and I think I need to buy that before it goes away. But there were 2 of these last year. One was a little cool tone, had like silver and a blue in it, and I wanted it but just never bought it. And then there's this one. So this one's based on Space Cowboy. So you have Space Cowboy here, but this is slightly different from the single of Space Cowboy that I have. There's Star Cowgirl, which is a very pale yellow. Their palest shade is like, I don't remember the name of it right now, but it is like an icy white. And so this is a little more yellow, which I actually like more. I wouldn't buy the icy white, but I would buy this because I like a yellow more with my complexion. And then there's Wild Dipper Reds again, which I do have Wild Dipper as a single as well. And this is a little more pink. And then Cosmic Space Dust, which is a brown, but like a taupe brown and a little lighter than lithium. I would 100% buy this again. This is sadly discontinued and no longer available, although I think they should. I like this better than the quad they came out with this year. I would buy this again. I don't feel the need to buy this year's ones because I have this. I really love these. I have 3 of the Moondust singles, I believe, and then they briefly brought back Diamond Dogs and I wanted it, and then it sold out. And I'm hoping they bring it back again because I really need that brown. But I would definitely repurchase this if it was still available. I think this is the best thing that Urban Decay has done in a long time, and I'm really glad they're embracing this formula more. So 100% would buy this again. I have used this a lot the last year, and I've used it a lot in travel. So I tend to travel pretty light. I don't like a lot of makeup when I travel. I tend to do like little liquid bronzer, a little skin tint or concealer, or, you know, I do pretty minimal makeup. I just want to spend my time enjoying where I am. And I'll often put like a matte on the lid, like bronzer or something like that. But then if I do want to add some sparkle, I will grab this and bring it with, and I really love it. So this is a cherished part of my collection. The next palette is an older palette, and I also think is not available anymore. And it is the Velvet Dusk palette from Lethal Cosmetics. I don't think I've talked about this in one of these before. I love Lethal Cosmetics. I really want the green Avatar The Last Airbender palette, the Earthbender palette, but I don't need it, so I haven't bought it. And I didn't buy the couple palettes before that because they kept releasing things. It's like, I work in a limited budget every month of what I can spend on the channel and makeup and fun stuff in general. And they keep releasing things when I've already spent my budget. But they were pretty, like the Wildflower and something else, but I never picked them up, and I'm okay with that now. This, however, this was one of my first Lethal purchases. This was probably my first big indie purchase. I think I bought a couple singles from them to try, and then I bought this. And this was really my big first foray into eyeshadow outside of drugstore eyeshadow. This was probably like 40 or 50 bucks at the time, which was the most I'd spent on something. And I really like this color story. It's like very fall-y for me. It's also kind of everyday. It's really beautiful. So you've got a nice brown, you've got a nice dark red brown, you've got a gold shade, a teal, and then an olive, and then some really pretty shimmers. I don't know, in 2024, if I would repurchase this specific palette, if it came back exactly as is. I don't think I would repurchase it, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. And if they brought it back as like a revamped, updated version, I probably would buy it. So the thing that holds me back is the shimmers in this are really pretty, but they are pretty standard. They've improved their shimmer formula. They've made it sparklier. They've made it just nicer in general. These are a little thicker, a little more, like this purple does have a nice amount of sparkle to it and has a little bit of a red shift. Like if I look this way, I'm seeing a little bit more cranberry, and you're seeing like purple. Love the color story, and I don't dislike these. I did use this recently just because to refresh my brain. And the shimmers in this are pretty, but they're just kind of a standard metallic. There's nothing like super special, and they're not like as blendable and creamy as like the Pat McGrath shimmer that I have on the lid. Like this green I can use as a one and done. I can put it down, I can blend the edges, and pretty much just wear that. These aren't quite that, but they're not as sparkly and stuff as some of their newer shimmers either. So this version, while I love it and I'm not gonna get rid of this, I don't think I would repurchase this in 2024, but I don't regret buying it. I still love it. And I think if they did like an updated revamped version, I probably would buy it. But I really like the mattes in here. I love Lethal's mattes formula. It's pigmented, but really soft and powdery, so it's really easy to blend. It's really beginner friendly, especially for colors. And I'm really glad this was like the first foray into like Indian color that I did. So this has a special place in my heart for that too. Okay, so the next palette is another indie palette, and this is from Game Beauty. This is their Victory palette. And I don't think I've talked about this in one of these before. This is the only product from Game Beauty I have. I do have a code with Game Beauty now, and they did give me like a credit on their website so that I could buy some more stuff. But I was waiting. There's like some other palettes where it was like, maybe I'll use it for that. But I'm just kind of seeing, I just want to see what else they have coming. They haven't been releasing that much. And the last thing they did was a Persona, the video game, collaboration. While I love that video game and that series, I didn't want those products just didn't speak to me, so I didn't pick it up. But I do really like this. So I like their concept. I love their theming as a brand, the Game Beauty, like it all makes sense. This feels really nice. it looks really pretty. And then the color story is very pretty and very fall. So you've got mostly mattes, you've got some more orange tones, and then a teal here, and then this is like very orange. One complaint I saw people make of this was that the oranges all look the same, but on my skin tone they don't. Like this is very clearly like orange, and this is like more vibrant orange, and this is more like peach orange. This is just a warm brown. This is a dark brown, and this is like a yellowy ochre tan. I like this. I'm not gonna get rid of this. I think the shimmers are pretty. You've got an iridescent. This isn't my favorite dark teal, but it's a hard shadow to formulate, and I think they did a pretty good job with this, especially considering the price and everything. This is pretty. If this came out today, I don't think I would rebuy it, and if I lost this, I don't know if I would rush out to rebuy it. I would miss it. Like, if I lost this, I mean, I can't buy it because it's discontinued, but if I lost this and it was still available, I would immediately go buy it again. This, I don't feel the same. This, I really like it. I'm glad I've used it. I have used it in the recent past. I don't think I've used it I haven't used it since the end of last year, I don't think. But I don't know if I would repurchase this. This is weird. No, a lot of these videos, I'm like, yes, I would repurchase that. Yes, I would. No, on that one. But like a lot of it's yes. But I don't know if I would repurchase this if I lost it. It's like, it's good, but not exactly perfect for me. And I just, because I haven't used it as much as some other stuff, I think that's what's holding me back. Is like, this is pretty. I like it. I don't have the urge to like get rid of it, but I don't use it enough that I'm like, yeah, I would need to rebuy it, you know? I hope that makes sense. Thankfully, I don't have to worry about that because I have it and it's fine and it's not gone bad or anything. But, you know, I don't know if I would rebuy that one. Just because it's not one that I grab very often. Like, I haven't used it, I don't think, at all this year. And so that's why I think maybe no. Not that it's bad, I have a lot. And I've kind of gravitated towards a lot of neutrals. I don't really wear orangey tones that often, or a lot of color anymore. I'm wearing a lot of neutral and earthy tones and different formulas. So, okay, so the next palette is one that I would definitely repurchase. It might have been in one of these videos before, but I don't care. And it is the Nars Climax palette. Stupid name, but you know it's Nars. This, I would definitely repurchase. I haven't used this in the last few months. I should wear this week, but I love this palette. This is the only Nars eyeshadow palette I have. I did swatch, there was one after this that I almost bought, and I swatched it at Ulta, and I was like, all of these shades look the same on my skin tone, so no, not worth the money. This is perfect. I think they should bring this back and make it permanent. I say that every time I mention this palette. You've got a couple light shades, like a light peach and a light more pink tone. And then you've got a green matte that I really like, a desaturated green and more of a wine tone. And then really beautiful shimmers, slate blue, an olive green, a taupey brown. And this one's a little more satin, and I like this one as a one and done. I've got a champagne. I just love this. This is one of my favorite palettes. Like, I don't know about top 10, but like, top 20, like it's up there. So definitely would repurchase if I could. Apparently Steven and I picked a bunch of discontinued palettes so far. Well, like 3 of the 4 so far have been discontinued. But whatever. The next palette is another indie palette and is one that I would repurchase, although I don't know if it's still available. And it is the Kidos Sashimi City palette. So I have 4 of these. I didn't buy all of them, and I wanted all of the Futurism palettes, but they were expensive and shipping was a lot. And, you know, this was before I was making money on YouTube, and like, not that I make a ton. I don't make enough to cover what I buy. Some months I do. But I also have gotten into more expensive makeup in the last 2 years, but I really like this palette. Kidos is done. I haven't bought Kidos in a long time. I have the the garden palette, I'm forgetting the name, that has like the mirror that pops off. I have the 2 big palettes, the Escape Pod and Angelica's, and then I have 4 of these. And nothing they've come out with since then has really drawn me in. It's all been very neutral, which I do like, but it's all been kind of cool neutral and quads. And if I'm gonna buy a quad, I want it to be versatile, and those are like a light shade, a mid-tone shade, a dark shade, and a shimmer. So you're getting like 1 look per quad, which is just not worth the price they're charging, no matter how pretty they are. This, I love. Every time I've worn this, I get compliments on it. I like that you have 2 more like reddy peachy tones and then 2 more like yellowy mattes. You get a good amount of depth, not, you know, crazy amount. And then the shimmers in here are really beautiful, shifty. So this one's like this gold to green peach, and this one is a pink to gold. They're really pretty. The formula holds up. I wish Kidos would make more of these, because I think this is like peak Kidos to me. So I would repurchase this if I needed to, and I could, definitely. So the next palette is actually 2, just because I kind of think of them together, and they came out together. And it is last year's holiday palettes from Haus Labs. So I could do 1 and 1, but I'm just putting these together. These I really like, and they haven't done eyeshadow since these, and that makes me really sad. So a lot of people, I feel like these had more mixed reviews than they should have. They were very expensive. That is the one downside to these. So these are the Volume 1 Super Neutrals and the Volume 2 Super Neutrals. So Volume 1 is this one. I like that they're the same exact component as like the blush, bronzer, all of that, just like long. So this is Volume 1, and this is Volume 2. So Volume 1 is a warm neutral palette. You've got a light shade that I can use as like an inner corner kind of shade. Not a transition, it's too light for that, but like an inner corner or brow bone. It's not ivory enough that it's too ashy. And then you've got a nice red and a nice dark brown, and then 3 really beautiful shimmers. These are sparkly, wet, really just like luxury style shimmers. And I think, and then the other one has more like a peach, a mauve, a dark gray, got more of a glittery green, although it's not very green, and then these 2 pinks. I don't love pink on me, so I don't really wear this one very much, but the rose gold, this shade, very pretty. Formula, this is great. I think why these got kind of mixed reviews is they were very expensive, and they are very much a cream to powder formula. They're kind of similar to Natasha Denona's cream to powder, Lisa Eldridge's mattes, which are also very creamy. And so it's not like a pressed pigment like Kidos or some of those where it's like, bam, pigment right away. It's like creamy and melts into the skin, and you do have to build it a little bit. I think they could have gone darker for these to make them more inclusive. But I think the biggest thing is a lot of people don't, the average consumer, I feel like, or the average YouTuber, doesn't really like cream to powder shadows. But I love them. That's like my favorite formula. I really like Natasha Denona's cream powders, and her new one that she did in the warm palette. Love. Lisa Eldridge, love. Those are like my go-to favorite daily matte kind of formula. So I would definitely repurchase these if I needed to, and I could. Again, another discontinued set, but I really love them. They're not doing these this year. It looks like they're doing bundles, like a lip bundle and a blush bundle. I do want the lip one because it has a mini of one that I already own and love, and then a big and like a honey color that looks pretty. But it doesn't look like they're doing eyeshadow anytime soon, but I'm very excited to see what they do next, like a permanent eyeshadow palette. Okay, so I've got 4 palettes left. The next one is going to be the Sydney Grace Enduring Love. This is another one that I should have checked if I've talked about before, but here we are. I have a handful of Sydney Grace palettes. I have the Tantalia ones, I have this, and then maybe one other one. And I know a lot of my friends really love Sydney Grace eyeshadows. Like, everyone raves about them, and they're fine. And I feel sacrilegious for saying that, but it's not my favorite. I would 100% use this over these. I feel like the mattes are really nice. They're very pigmented. They blend nicely. And I like that Sydney Grace does like a light and a dark version to be more inclusive. So you like, if there's really pale mattes that like someone like my husband would use if he wore eyeshadow, because he is a redhead and very pale. And then there's, you know, the version where like Juliet is like really pale and pink, or like a little bit darker to work for someone like myself. I really like that they do that. But the vibe of the brand, I haven't really bought anything in a long time because none of it speaks to me theme-wise, or the colors, like none of it. And I just don't love the formula. People talk about how consistent it is, and I would say yes, it is very consistent, especially compared to something like ColourPop or something, or drugstore makeup. But I don't enjoy using it. The mattes are fine, and I could depot. I think I might be able to depot these. I don't know if these are magnetic. I know the Temptalia ones are, and I am probably gonna depot those so I can use them as singles and maybe use them more. And the color story in this is something you would think that I would like. You've got cool neutrals, some kind of more neutrally here, some more cool here. You've got a really pretty green, like olive green. You've got a blue, you've got a cool purple and a warm purple. So like it's, in theory, a palette that I would really like. But I think the thing that holds me back is I don't like the Sydney Grace shimmers. I feel like they want to be a Pat McGrath shimmer, where they're creamy and emollient and like you can use them as a one and done or something, but they're thick. They're really thick, and I can feel them on my eyes. Like right now, I can kind of feel my mascara, but otherwise I don't feel any of my makeup on my face or my eyes. And these I feel. And I don't know if that's just because I'm autistic and I have a lot of sensory issues, but I don't reach for these, my Sydney Grace palettes or this one, because I don't like that I can feel it on my eye. So this would not be a repurchase. Might get decluttered this year because I haven't used it in a long time. So color story, really love it. But formula wise, it's just not for me. Okay, so the next palette is another indie palette, and it is the Sigma Untamed palette. So I have a couple Sigma palettes. Two of them I bought, one of them I won in a giveaway. This one came out a few years ago. Really love the theme. It is, and I like that they include a brush, but their brushes are actually good quality. And this, again, looks like a very Colin color story. Like this is the tones that I really like and wear pretty regularly, but I never reach for this. And again, it's the shimmers. So the mattes are nice. They're pigmented, they blend. Attack of the brush. The hazard of having a brush and a palette when you're holding it up to talk. The mattes are pigmented, they blend nice. I think they have improved. The couple, like one of the newer ones I have from them that came out like last year, the mattes are better than this. Not that these are bad, but like, you know, kind of like Nomad is constantly like slightly improving their mattes and palettes. But they're not like it's not my favorite matte formula in here. And the shimmers really hold it back for me. I like that you have a matte white and a matte black, and then you have these earthy tones, and you've got kind of a gray here, like a taupe gray, like a taupe. On my skin tone, it leans a little gray, but it's a taupe that I could use as like a contouring shade. But the shimmers really hold this back. I thought they were really pretty at the time. Sometimes I struggled to work with them, but just having used so much makeup in the last 3 years since starting this channel, and like I, you know, played with makeup for about a year before that. So in the last 4 years, I've tried a lot of makeup, and they have changed their shimmer formula, but it's still not my favorite. Like this purple is nice. You can see there's lots of little sparkle in there of other colors, but it just kind of falls flat to me. Like it's a little thin, and not like thin as in basement pigment, but lots of sparkle or something like some high-end ones I like. The Moxie shade is like a satin, but not really a satin that I'm gonna use. Like a light purple lilac like that. I might. These are just kind of a standard metallic up here, these three. And then this blue is pretty, but I have better blues than this. Like I would grab the blue from Lisa Eldridge Sorcery, or I don't know. I have Pat McGrath from Subliminal over this. I just tried this yesterday, like before washing my face, just to give myself like a reference. Like I haven't used this in a while, and I wanted to make sure I used some of these shimmers, and I was like, these look fine. The mattes worked well. I liked the mattes. But this damn blue, doesn't matter if I use a fluffier brush like this, or a really dense, thin brush, I always just get a ton of fallout. And I don't normally get fallout from any of the makeup I use. Like, I know people like complain about fallout all the time. I feel like in the last 2 years, I can count the number of, I think I've experienced like fallout that annoyed me or that I noticed maybe like 4 times. Every time I tried to use this blue, I got blue, but unwipeable, like not get rid of, like black-based blue specks all over my face. And it doesn't matter what brush I use, even if I use a finger, I still somehow got it all over. So this is at risk of being decluttered at the end of the year when I do that, just because, wow, again, color story is very me, but formula, I don't reach for it, and I don't like some of those shimmers, so why hold on to it? So no, that was a very long-winded way to say I would not repurchase that. Okay, so I've got 2 palettes left, and this should be pretty quick for these 2. So the next one is Isom. This is their #1 Balance eyeshadow palette. So I did buy this. I did get their newest palette in PR, and I'm very grateful for that. But I did buy their first 3, and I really like this. I use this, it doesn't look very used, but I do use this pretty regularly. They are kind of an artistry focused palette. These are some of the best mattes I've ever used, and especially after using these and using Suku and Lisa Eldridge and, you know, all of these other things, even Prada. Using this, I'm just like, eh. This was expensive, but it's customizable. You can like pull this out and pop all of them out, rearrange, mix them up with your other palettes, because I have 4 of them now, 2 shimmer and 2 all matte. I love it. The formula is great. It's similar to Viseart. It's buildable, but still pigmented. It blends effortlessly. Everything blends well. I like that it's in a gradient, so if you need that or you find that helpful, you go light to dark, in like neutral, warm, like more reddy warm, more yellow warm, black and white, and then mauve. And it's just a really beautiful palette, and it's something like, I'll grab this when I'm not filming. I'll grab like this, throw a couple of those mattes on, throw something sparkly like a single, or, you know, like a shadow that comes in a jar or something, and then, or a liquid shadow from like Lisa Eldridge, and then go to work and call it a day. So it's just a really nice, beautiful formula. I like the packaging. You know, it doesn't have a mirror, but it's very like makeup artist focused, and I really like it. So I would repurchase that. Okay, and so the last palette on the list is my Isamaya Beauty Wildstar palette. So I have all 3 of their eyeshadow palettes. They are expensive. They're around $100 a piece, and Industrial is definitely my favorite. Industrial 2, right up there. Sadly, it was limited edition. Don't understand why, but it's so pretty, but like in a different way and less grungy and like a little more just sparkle. But this was in between them, and a lot of people hated this collection. I like it. I think it's, she said Camp Cowboy, Rhinestone Cowboy, and that's exactly what this is. I really like this. I still use this. I still really like it. You've got, this is the only palette she's done with mattes. So you've got a cream, a warm brown, a dark brown, and a matte black in the center. Really beautiful formula. Pigmented, smooth, effortlessly blendable, kind of like just they blend into each other perfectly. And then just really beautiful shimmers. You've got a brown one and done kind of shade. You've got some fun pops of color. You've got some iridescent shades. So you can like build structure with the mattes if you want them or not, and then pick any shimmer and go. And it's just really beautiful. Really like this formula. Yeah, I would repurchase this, even at $100. Plus, this is just, it's tacky, but purposely tacky. It's just, I love it. Okay, so that is all 10/11 palettes. Let me know what you think. Do you have any of these? What are your thoughts on them? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to talk to you. As always, thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. It means a lot and really actually helps the channel to show you that you watched this far. Remember to like and subscribe. It helps so much, and I will see you all in my next video.